full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Open the pod bay doors now.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
I am nothing! No!
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Get busy living. Or get busy dying.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Cinemaze, a podcast where a bunch of mates chat about cinema over some drinks. Today, I'm joined by Millie and Hugo.
Woo.
Big thank you for coming on. How are you going?
Never better.
Very happy to be here, Mikey.
Good. No, thank you for coming. A few episodes back, Millie did an elevator pitch that I absolutely loved. And in this episode, because of that, we'll be talking about the 2017 Academy Award magnet, Call Me By Your Name, starring Timothee Chalamet and Armie Hammer. And while we do that, we'll be drinking some mimosas.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
As always, please make sure you're following the podcast on your chosen streaming platform and leave a 5-star review. Also, check out the Cinemaze YouTube channel where I post video essays on film and TV characters. Now, getting into it, to those who are new to the podcast, I like to get an idea of who our guests are and what they like to watch, so I ask a few questions about cinema. First question, let's dive in. Start with you, Hugo. Robert Pattinson or Andrew Garfield?
Oh, it's 100% Andrew Garfield.
Whoa.
I
Why?
mean, Spider-Man #1, we love a man in a bit of latex. But I think #2, he was in my Oscar favorite from this year, The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Nice.
I
Good.
That was
loved
Good
good.
it.
flick. He was really good in it too.
Really good.
Nice. Good answer.
Love to hate him.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I think Andrew Garfield, he's got that like cute, sensitive thing happening for sure.
What
But
do you mean?
I'm,
He's hot.
What's
Robert
that cute,
Pattinson.
sensitive thing?
well,
happening?
I don't know. He just seems very in touch with his emotions, which is a great thing. But Robert Pattinson, he does it for me. He's like,
Were
and
you a Twilight girl?
I actually wasn't.
What
that
got you,
much of a
what
Twilight
got you
girl.
over the line for Robert?
I love Tenet
Oh, really? Yeah, he's really good in it.
and Harry Potter.
Great.
Oh,
But
that was
he-
a tragic ending.
Short appearance, poor Cedric. Still so good though.
My boy.
My boy. Next question: David Fincher or Adam McKay?
Gonna have to say David, and I think
Okay.
it's one of my core movie memories, and it was with you, Michael, when we sat through 7 together, and it changed my life.
Good.
And also Gone Girl, because
Yeah,
that keeps
great
me on my
film.
toes in my relationship. You never know when you're gonna be Gone Girl.
Absolutely. You got to be careful.
I
Millie?
say Adam McKay. I'm a big Will Ferrell fan.
Okay. The other guys.
And the other guy, Big Short.
Yeah. Did you
Great-
like
great film.
Don't Look Up?
Loved it, which I know is controversial,
Mm.
but I did.
Okay. Good answer. Next question: Nicole Kidman or Kate Blanchett?
This is a very difficult question because they're like the matriarchs of Australian
They are.
expats for me.
That's why I put it in here.
I'm going to say Kate Blanchett, but I really wouldn't want this question with a gun to my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna have to go Nicole Kidman. Love her, but also if Keith Urban ever hears this, I'm a big fan. So gonna have to go
Apparently,
Nicole
he's
Kidman.
a big listener of the Cinemates podcast. So
I
he's probably
actually
listening.
heard that.
Yeah,
you know,
I've
I've
heard
met
that.
them before.
Really?
Really nice.
Nice.
On the Logie's red carpet.
Wow.
Oh,
Yep. When I worked at Channel 9.
What did you say to them?
I couldn't say a thing. They were just friendly though. Took a few photos.
Nice.
I've seen Nicole Kidman in the flesh too, running around Longueville.
Wow.
And I like sped up to her in a moving
You ran her
vehicle.
over.
And her security guard like came up to me and told me to chill out
Oh my god.
while she was on a run.
Jesus.
On a run
Yeah.
outside.
I probably shouldn't be saying this on a podcast.
She's
Just
probably
disclose
listening
that
as well.
she lives in
I reckon
Longueville.
they're sitting down in Sutton Forest on their farm going, that bitch.
That little bitch.
Millie. Good answer. Next question: The Other Guys or Wedding Crashers?
The other guys.
The other guys.
Katie don't
Why?
play no shit.
I remember, what year did it come out? 2010.
9 or 10?
10?
Yeah.
I remember for that Christmas getting it on DVD and watching it on my portable DVD player and going, this is the life.
Yeah. So good. So rewatchable.
Yeah, it's classic.
Watch it
Cult
on
classic.
a Sunday. Can't beat it. Wedding Crashers is pretty good as well. Next question: Stranger Things or Game of Thrones?
Stranger Things.
Why?
Because I haven't seen Game of Thrones.
Fair enough. That's
I don't want to
okay.
hear the negativity. Next question.
We should not have been given that question
Plead
because
the fifth.
I never got into either. However, I'm going to say Game of Thrones because I remember my parents watching Game of Thrones and seeing those naughty sex scenes from like behind
Yeah.
the lounge room
Coming
door.
of age.
Very coming of age.
That was my coming of age story.
Good answer. Next question, getting into the deep ones now. Most memorable movie that you saw in cinemas?
I want to say Avengers because the first Avengers because I still remember it. But also I was thinking Spider-Man because it was a pretty great moment. Everyone got up and clapped in my cinema when
The No
All
Way
of-
Home most recent one?
yeah, when we saw all three. Spoiler alert.
I think for me, mine's less about the actual film, but about the cinema experience. I think like my core memory about being in a cinema was when my grandma took me to see Hotel for Dogs. Not sure if you're familiar. And I remember just crying next to her because every summer holiday she'd be taking me to Erin Fair or like
Nice.
Warringah Mall and we'd be going to the cinemas and
Yep.
I think that's like one of my favorite memories. So Hotel for Dogs also makes me cry every time. Also thought I had a crush on Emma Roberts at the time.
Great movie. Emma Roberts is
I think
great.
I did too.
Those memories are like just what, you'll always
Yeah.
value and remember as well. So good to cherish those little niche ones. Next question, fastest TV show binge.
This is a tricky one because I'm pretty consistently binging Real Housewives. Honestly, full disclosure. However, I remember I recently binged The Undoing with Hugh Grant and Nicole Kidman. And when I say binge, I literally watched it in one sitting and didn't get up to get water or to pee.
One sitting.
One sitting.
Oh
It was
my
weird.
God.
Yeah.
There's like 6 or 8 episodes, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
No shame.
Oh my God.
Promise full disclosure.
That's some serious binging there.
Yeah, I don't know what came over me. I think I was in exams. I was
Had to study.
That'll do
really
it. That'll do it.
procrastinating.
You go.
I think for me, I'm gonna have to agree with Millie. The Bravo universe absolutely keeps me busy. Every day you can find a new Real Housewives spin-off or you can
Correct.
find a spin-off from a spin-off.
They
But
keep you in.
They keep me in. But I will say recently, not sure if anyone watched it, but The Tourist with Jamie Dornan. I think I have not seen an Australian TV show like that for a long time. Actual
Oh,
quality,
yeah, I saw
really
that.
good.
Good answer. Next question. Favorite Australian movie?
Candy, Heath Ledger,
Okay.
and Abby Cornish.
Haven't seen it.
It's an oldie, but it's a great Heath Ledger film, and it's all about his struggle with drug dependency issues. It's great. You should see it.
Bit triggering.
Nice. Yeah. When was it made?
I want to say early 2000s, potentially late 90s, but I think early 2000s.
Okay.
Good film, and
Nice.
it's nice Australian cast.
Yeah. You
Mine
go?
would be The Dressmaker. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it.
Now, I will say that the starring role is played by Kate Winslet, who is not Australian, although I feel like she's Australian by proxy. I feel like we've kind of taken ownership of her, but it is just classic Australiana, like small country town about the gossip, and it's phenomenal. Also, we've got Liam Hemsworth. I won't
Love.
ruin it for you, but it is twists and turns. Highly recommend. And I think
Okay.
it's slept on a little bit.
Good answers. Good
Love.
niche Australian movies there. Like it. Next question. A movie that you think everyone needs to see.
Call Me by Your Name. that
Of
cliche?
course. Any others? Or are you going with that?
I kind of want to settle on that, or like, can I say Grown Ups too?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
The Grown Ups
Infamously
universe.
shit.
Where's Grown Ups 3? That's
No,
what I wanna
Grown
know.
Ups 2 is the shittest movie in the entire world, and I think everyone needs to see it just to see what a bad movie looks like.
Jesus.
I
That's
actually
an interesting
disagree.
take.
Like, I'm an Adam Sandler man, and I think Grown Ups is the pinnacle of.
Did you like
There-
Grown Ups 1?
experiences.
Yes, Grown Ups 1 is
was
absolutely
funny.
incredible. Grown Ups 2, there is a mass following of individuals who think it was a tax write-off because it was so bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
All the scenes finish right in the middle of when they're just getting started.
Yeah. Interesting. I did not know
I'm
that.
disappointed by that.
Jeez.
I loved it.
Everyone's got to see it. The
Now
tax
I'm
write-off.
a little bit nervous that I'm
tax
thinking of the
write-off.
wrong movie with you guys.
People are coming.
Questioning
Adam
me.
Sandler and Nicole Kidman are coming for you.
Making some enemies already. Hugo? Movie that
Mine,
you think?
again, I'm not sure if people saw this, think it was slept on. Promising Young Woman.
Yeah.
New.
Good movie.
I would say there's a lot of films coming out after Me Too that you know, like for example, Bombshell, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I think it was a little bit on the nose.
Yep.
But I think Promising Young Woman really captured, you know, the modern male mindset where I don't even think they've realized that they're doing it before it's too late. Do you agree?
Yeah. Such a powerful movie. I think it also did really well awards wise.
Yeah.
But definitely one to watch. That's for
I
sure.
haven't seen it. I'm keen to see it.
Yeah. Next question. Favorite streaming service?
I can binge.
I'm a binge girl.
Love crime.
Binge has a lot of good TV shows as well, like
Yeah.
HBO.
HBO.
Yeah.
That's it.
Can't go wrong.
Do you know what I like about Binge is I think the limited series British crime dramas are fantastic.
Yeah.
They don't need a big budget, but the scripts are amazing.
Yeah.
And like I saw one, I don't know if it was on Binge though, but Liar. Did you see Liar?
No, have
So
seen
good.
it on there though. Yeah, some great content on Binge. Next question, TV show that you're watching at the moment. You guys have already mentioned a few. Got any others?
Yeah.
No, I started Severance.
Oh, okay. I've
And
heard really good
I'm
things about
really
it.
liking it. It's a very interesting concept. So I'm keen to continue with it. Except you need
Nice.
an Apple
Yeah.
subscription.
Bit annoying.
Might do
like,
the free trial.
They're like, yeah, they're like 10th streaming service.
Yeah.
I've heard great things though.
Mine would be The Flight Attendant.
Okay.
Have you guys got into it?
Yeah. I saw
Kaylee
the first
Cuoco.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what I like about it is that post Big Bang Theory, she can really do whatever she wants. You know, it's not about the money anymore. So I think she's been very careful about what she's picked post. And there is a scene in season 2 where she is confronted by Sharon Stone, who plays her mum, and
Really?
it is something to watch. I hear she was going through a divorce at the time, so I think that added
In real
some
life?
extra in real life.
Wow.
So it added some extra emotion to it, but I highly recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flight
I'll
attendant.
continue that.
So in the last episode, we had a Cinemates elevator pitch from Georgie, who recommended Bridgerton, the Netflix original, and it was actually pretty good. Some of it was a bit cringe, and some of the behavior of the men, it's set in the 1800s, and it's pretty creepy, but I'm about 3 episodes in, and I'm very entertained. Favorite character is easily Duke Hastings so far. He's a stud. I think that his upbringing with his father is just really harsh. Have you guys seen Bridgerton?
I saw season 1.
Okay.
Did not get into it.
It's
Georgie.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm really liking it. I'll just say as well, Anthony Bridgerton, the brother,
He's
at this
hot.
point, he's handsome, but he needs to piss off. Like,
Oh, really?
He's being too protective of his sister,
Yeah.
Daphne. Lady Featherington can fuck off as well. But yeah, I'm entertained. I'll keep watching it. Thanks for the elevator pitch, Georgie. And if you haven't seen Bridgerton, definitely give it a watch. Hugo, I think you need to.
I might give
Give
it
it a go.
another go.
Give it
One
a
of my
go.
favorite actors is in it, so I'm really
Who?
disappointed in
Who?
myself. I actually don't know his name. But he's gay and he's hot.
Okay.
Which one
Oh,
is that?
Anthony.
Anthony.
He's gay and he's
That's right.
so hot.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's in the
I did not
new
know that.
Fendace campaign.
Yes,
the
he
collab
is.
between Fendi and Versace.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really
It's
Oh my
pretty cool
God.
that he's the alpha male. Yeah.
Back that. For the next elevator pitch, we've got Cinemates community member Spencer. So let's hear what he's recommending.
Hey Michael, thought I'd jump on here and recommend this show I've been watching recently on Apple TV Plus called Severance. This psychological thriller is about a technology corporation, Lumen Industries, who use a medical procedure called severance to separate an employee's work life and personal life. One severed employee, Mark, played by Adam Scott, gradually uncovers a web of conspiracy from both sides of the division. With Ben Stiller in the director's chair and an incredible cast, this is one of the best shows of 2022. Hope you enjoy it, mate. Cheers.
Severance. Okay. Millie mentioned it earlier. Have heard some seriously good things about it. It's received some amazing reviews. So good recommendation there. Have you seen it, Hugo?
No, I've actually never heard of it.
Okay.
Where have I been?
Well, it's on Apple, yeah. But
Bullshit.
I've heard anyone who's watched it has said amazing things. So thanks for the elevator pitch there, Spencer, and I'll definitely give it a go and we'll see how it is. So now getting into Call Me By Your Name, to the listeners out there who haven't seen the movie yet, guys, what would you say about it in one word?
Stunning.
Courageous.
Why?
For reasons we will
Discuss.
discuss.
I mean, also for reasons we will discuss, but I think it was a big step in queer film and
100%.
television. So,
Yeah.
Definitely.
but we'll get into that.
Absolutely. My one word will be beautiful. It's just visually and story-wise, it's just beautiful. So if you haven't seen it, do yourselves a favor. You've heard our words here. And just before we get into it, we'll take a quick ad break. Okay, so getting into Call Me By Your Name, I think it's a good place to start. What about the setting? Northern Italy. What do you guys think?
Wow.
The setting is sublime. And
It
that's,
is.
And by setting, that's an umbrella term for the characters, the context, and the location.
Absolutely.
The first bit of the movie, there's a shot that just says, that reads somewhere in Northern Italy. And I feel
Really
like
like
that
that.
starts it off with a very romantic, mysterious sort of energy.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think that setting is so important because in the context of the film, the characters are literally engaging in leisure 24/7. It's paradise. It's
Such a
warm, it's sunny
paradise.
skies. They're constantly playing tennis, massaging each other, taking naps. The parents are the nicest people under
Oh
the
my God.
sun. Elio and Oliver, the main two characters, are in demand from the ladies.
They
Everyone's hot.
absolutely are.
Those women,
Those
those
women,
European
they'll
women.
bend over backwards.
Those Italian women, they love it.
No one's working. There's even a housekeeper.
Mm.
On top of that, the characters are so bright. They're like
so
talking,
intelligent.
Yeah.
and they're transcribing music, talking in 5 different languages, discussing languages, exchanging other archaeology and historical references that no normal person understands. So what is so important about that is I think it gives a really good backdrop of simplicity that allows you to really focus and therefore accentuates the tension that we see between Elio and Oliver.
100%.
So we can see like a more intimate lens into the mania.
Yeah.
And I think the scenery,
Oh, yeah.
the weather, the seasons, and how it changes is really reflective of Elio and how he grows up and in his journey into adulthood. I think it's like really representative of that, and I think it's much more important than people probably realize.
Yeah, 100%. I think we'll definitely be able to dive into that more. I think that just to add to the setting itself, like just from like a very material level, like the house that they live in and the town that they live in is just so amazing. Like
Yeah.
I was watching it being for the first time. Thanks for your pitch again. But I was just watching it. I was like, oh my God, like get me there. Like I want to go to Italy right now. I was like looking up flights
Yeah,
after the movie, just
Me
like,
too.
It's also not kind of the Italy that you see, you know, on social
No.
media when influencers
Yeah.
are going there. You know, it's like real
quiet-
Italy.
yeah, it's like real Italy, a quiet town. And they're, as you said, like in this paradise, just being able to kind of live and enjoy each other and
Yeah.
grow. And it's just an amazing place to start. So
Fun fact, the place where they filmed it is the director Luca Guadagnino's hometown.
no way.
So I've read the book, and the book is actually set on a beach. So they refer a lot to their leisurely activities being involving going to the beach in the book. But yeah, and also the director is gay. So
Wow.
there's sort of speculation that it's an ode to his
It's about his life.
life. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Interesting take.
Very interesting. Also, just quickly as well, I loved how it was, because it just tells you that it's somewhere in Italy. We also don't know what sort of time period it is. And, you know, it's pretty modern, but like they're riding bikes around. It's like a cool, like sort of, not old, but like, you know, natural kind of very Italian lifestyle that they're living. So
And I
Yeah.
think that's important as well because it shows that the film isn't really restricted to a time period. Like
yes,
we still see relationships and stories like that today. We saw them 50
Yeah.
years ago, you know, like the timeless nature of it, I think, is really important. And so not restricting it to a particular town in Italy, not restricting it to a
Yeah.
particular time is critical.
100%.
That's a very good point.
Could not agree more. Equally as well, like it's so well shot. The cinematography is just stunning. I think,
know.
like especially at the start, to introduce you to this landscape. There's a lot of like long takes that kind of linger and show you everything that's there, and it's just so beautifully filmed. What did you guys think of the cinematography?
Yeah, I think this film for me really shows how form of a film shapes the way you feel. The film, it for me, the film is all about desire and passion and coming of age within those sort of emotions and experiences. And that is entirely articulated through the editing of the film. So I think most of what is happening that contributes to the story is happening in those in-between shots where it lingers a little bit too long on Elio just watching Oliver.
Yeah.
Or Elio not being able to sleep and suffering from a bit of insomnia, or Elio transcribing music in the corner. So it's those shots where we really get to see sort of the emotional toll and how they're dealing with those emotions. And that's also heavily accentuated by the score. So the score
100%.
is so good, and it
Really good.
and it engages us in so many ways by drawing out our emotions. When there's no score and we just hear this, cicadas in the background.
Yeah.
We're really in that moment. We're experiencing that tension. And then we hear like the score slam on us every time Oliver enters the room. And that what we see with that is that like there's a repeated refrain that always comes when Oliver enters the room, which you'll notice. And as a result, we have an emotional experience that's deeply embedded in us that we don't even realize, that's subconsciously conjuring back those memories of sadness and a bit of pain that every time Oliver enters. So the score is beautiful.
It's so good. And I saw this thing that, because obviously part of Elio's character is that he's really good at playing the piano and such a good musician. Saw this thing where this guy kind of picked up that when Elio and Oliver have these like sort of, because their romantic relationship like builds up, the score at the start is very sort of like light piano.
Yeah.
But as they get closer and kind of Oliver opens up to the idea of a relationship with Elio, like the piano gets more like intense and kind of it showed their journeys with their, sexuality and their relationship together. So just little subtle things with the score just added a whole nother dimension to it, I thought.
100%. There's a really good scene that I have that keeps coming back to my mind when Elio and Oliver first consummate their love and have sexual intercourse. Before that, leading up to that, Elio has this crazy day where he's really happy, he's really excited, he's having heaps of sex with Matsia.
Yeah.
We all remember that. He's just going on a literal sexual escapade with Matsia. And he has a dinner with his family and is all happy, and he has some lighthearted, fun guests. So he's happy. And then as soon as he sees Oliver and meets up with him on the balcony to have their planned, sexual experience, we're immediately hit with the song. And it really, you don't even realize that sort of sense of passion and almost melancholy that when he comes in with Oliver, because you know that there's a lot of sadness associated with what he's going through, because there's an end date and he's not really sure what's going on. There's a lot of emotions.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, like one of my favorite scenes, particularly where music was a big part of it, and I think you guys will agree, the scene where the song Love My Way comes on and kind of Elio's watching Oliver dancing with this girl and getting with this girl. I think it was before the sex scene. And you can see how sad he is. He's like with his mates and with Matsia, and he's just there like kind of smoking, looking on, and the song plays and you're seeing Oliver just like dancing to it. And I'm pretty sure the song itself is like a metaphor for, loving your own way, regardless of what sort of sexuality you have. But I thought that was one of my favorite scenes because
it was cool.
I also saw in that scene a little bit of jealousy.
Yeah.
Like I feel
100%.
like Elio looked at Oliver as if he could kind of have a foot in both worlds and he can kind of, enjoy Elio, but also enjoy this woman and his kind of heterosexual life. And I think Elio is almost a bit resentful and jealous of that, ability to be able to jump between the two worlds.
I saw multiple emotions, and I think that's testament to Timothee. Are we going with Timothy or Timothy?
Probably Timothy. I don't know.
It's actually meant to be Timothy.
Is it?
Timothy.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
What about Tim?
Well, Timmy.
Timmy.
Timmy
Um,
is such a good actor. In that scene, I saw a million emotions. He's sad.
Nothing is even said as well.
Nothing is said. He's sad.
Just
He's
music.
happy. He's a bit drunk.
Mm.
He's not sure. He's curious.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think as well, like, hearing that was watching this movie was the first time I'd heard that song, and it's a tune. One thing I thought that was really interesting scene wise as well was when Elio and Oliver first meet, and the dad, Mr. Perlman, played by Michael Stuhlbarg, he kind of says how this guy Oliver's coming to do research with him. But their first meeting, they don't really hit it off straight away, and Oliver kind of brushes him off as if he's not even sort of there, despite living with him for the next few months. I thought it was an interesting place to start, and then we sort of start to get these like small hints that Oliver has this affection for Elio, like when they're playing volleyball and he starts to like give him a massage, and it's like so uncomfortable, and Elio's like, get off me. I thought it was interesting that that's where it started, because you're not sure.
I mean,
like,
he kicks it off, and like the stuff that he's saying to his mum about Oliver is not nice stuff. When Oliver, but that scene where they're under the tree and Oliver runs inside, I forget what he says, but he calls him arrogant or
something
not so nice. But then it definitely does shift.
Yeah, he's kind of negotiating their relationship. It starts off with a bit of
dictation.
tension. Elio's shy. He's kind of got a feigning disinterest. He reacts to him when he constantly says later. He gets irritated by that.
Yeah.
And I think having
Later.
read the book, I understand that typically they always get these guests that come to their house in the position of Oliver to help his dad with his archaeology. And typically those guests, there was this passage in the book that said that typically those guests are somewhat like patronizing. They take his bedroom. So he's initially coming into the house and Elio's already feeling a sense of resentment because he has to surrender his bedroom.
His bed, yeah.
But then, as you said, that relationship is kind of tested, and we see them sort of testing that friendship through, they kind of challenge each other on literature and push each other around a little bit. And then eventually we see them going on bike rides. And
I mean, I think it's interesting because at the beginning, Elio kind of seems to have a little bit more power, but the more Oliver kind of like leans into their relationship, the power dynamic shifts, and Oliver starts to have a lot more power in the relationship.
100%.
yeah.
And I think that kind of brings me to something that I don't love about the film and I don't love about Oliver is this theme of like gluttony and greed. And you see it a lot
very
in
greedy.
the queer community, like there's all the scenes of Oliver, he can't just drink water, he's got to guzzle the water, and he can't just eat one egg at breakfast, he's got to eat like 3 or 4.
Does he?
Yeah. Do you not
I didn't
notice
pick that up?
Yeah. So
Okay.
every time he's like eating something or doing something, it's always like really greedy and quick and dirty. And I think like that kind of also represents, and also like the swimmers all over the bathroom, for example. Like he's really taken up this space.
This whole thing.
Yeah.
It's probably a real American thing as well.
I was
That's
going to
kind of how
say an
Americans are
American
known.
frankness kind of.
But then
that's
it kind of comes to a head when, I mean, after they've had sex, they're in the doorway between the bedrooms and he gets head and he says afterwards, like, I just wanted to do it to know that I could still do it.
Yeah.
And it was
bit of
just this
arrogance.
power shift. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also, the character of Oliver's meant to be, I'm pretty sure, late 20s, and Elio's meant to be
Teenager.
a teenager. I think 17. So he's kind
That's
of.
that's pretty illegal.
Yeah. Doesn't
Armie
really
Hammer
read too
had it
well
again.
these days.
No, and we'll
Didn't
get
age
into that.
too well for him.
We'll get into that with Arnie Hammer as well.
Is a,
Don't.
we won't do it.
Another really interesting part was the kind of story about the knight not being able to say how he felt and dying because of it. And we get this scene where Elio kind of says that he wouldn't have the courage to speak his mind.
Is it better to speak or to die?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Like the family's just like talking about it. The parents are just talking about it. And the dad,
Of course they are. They're
Yeah,
too smart for
they
their own
talk
good.
about
Those
everything.
parents.
They're the
I want to
best
be
parents.
adopted.
And that book was in German, if they weren't already speaking enough languages, French, Italian, and English, and reading a German book.
I know. It's insane. I saw this list of like best movie parents ever, and they're like number one.
I will
movie
say though,
parents.
I think the mum slept on a little bit. I think we talk a lot about the dad and the
Yeah.
relationship with the dad, which is absolutely important.
The
but
mum
the
gets
mum,
it.
the mum gets it. You know, sending
Yeah.
them on a little holiday together. She's
Yeah.
got that beautiful gay couple that comes in. Like I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
she, you know, does a lot of the acceptance, and I think she probably pulls the dad into it a little bit more.
100%.
Couldn't agree more. Well said.
I also loved, which I wish we got more of, but the scene where, and this was one of my other favorite scenes, when they're in the town circle and they ride their bikes in.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've slowly like got more and more. Again, I think this was before they had their intercourse, but they ride into the town and we get this like really long take of they're talking about, you know, Oliver kind of says how smart Elio is, and he's like, oh, I only really know like the things that matter. And they're talking in this kind of like code of like how, you know, they both kind of got these feelings for each other.
Yeah.
And Oliver kind of brushes him off and says like, no, like we can't talk about these things. And he's like kind of hesitant. He's still like putting this guard up, and the camera just stays on them and they're walking around this
Battle
war
of PR,
statue.
World
Yeah.
War One monument.
And they're like really far away, but they're saying all this stuff, and
It's brilliant.
it's so good. The
It's-
acting is amazing.
It's that shot is a tracking left to right shot, and
Nice.
Nice.
flex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
well,
is.
I do know that. But what's really cool about this is you're right. The language is really simple.
Mm.
They start off. The context of this is that passage. Is it better to speak or to die?
Yeah.
Elio presents that to Oliver. Of course, Oliver knows exactly the story
Yeah.
that Elio's talking about, and it prompts them to go into town together. And then they're having this discussion about a World War One monument, and then suddenly Elio, in very simple dialogue, transitions into just confessing his emotions, and it's so
Subtle.
It's just suddenly come out of him.
yeah.
It almost blindsides the viewer, I found.
does.
Like it's been so much action, so
Yeah.
many, you know, like scenes of them together, but not a lot of words throughout the whole film. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden he just gets this burst of courage.
Like a release of
does.
insecurity and anxiety, and he just says it.
Because before he's very like contained and, you know, he doesn't speak his mind very much. But
Yeah.
yeah, we do kind of get this burst of courage.
But
So good.
I really like that shot because it's one shot, and they find themselves discussing World War One monument to both of them wandering around a statue on other sides, and all the while Oliver quickly goes and runs into a store to pick up his transcript or something
yeah.
stupidly intelligent, bring it back out, and it's all one shot. So it's a dance between the characters.
Yeah.
And so much is happening at the same time.
So much. And
It's
also
brilliantly done.
Oliver says, you know, you're making things difficult. And like just those 4 words is him saying like, I'm on the same page as you,
I
but
validate you.
I'm not sure. And you get so much from these small bits of dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just insane. It's so good. What
is
about Elio and Matsia's relationship? I think that kind of gets slept on a bit. We talked about before how Elio kind of goes on this journey of like having this affection for Matsia and having the, you know, this passion still for Oliver. I think their like romance was a key part of the story.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Look, I think I really felt sorry for her in the film, and it makes you think like, yes, you know, for queer people, coming out and finding yourself is obviously a very difficult experience inside you, but it doesn't just affect you, it affects the people
Other people.
around you.
Yeah.
And she, you know, she was a good person. She loved him and she had a lot of emotions and
Yeah.
feelings towards him. And I think it just goes to show that it's, you know, when we do have these like coming of age experiences and these like experiences about growing up and journeying into adulthood, like the decisions we make and the things we do really to affect the people around us. And I think she's a really good representation of that there's still, you know, we've got to think about how our lives and our journey impact other people.
Yeah.
100%.
I totally agree. I think Matsia plays a really critical part because she's simple.
Yeah.
She's she's easy to read. We know
Simple.
exactly what she's thinking. She loves Elio, and all the while that juxtaposition against Oliver, who's complicated and Elio
Yeah,
cannot
good point.
navigate it. So I think Matsia just plays that part of being simple. She's nice. She's pretty. She's got candor. Great girl. And I do
girl.
think that Elio did like her. He does like
I
her.
agree.
absolutely.
And he's having a great experience losing his virginity with her. But he's obviously got a deeper emotional relationship with Oliver. But I think there's I feel like a good way to put it is you can't compare bakers to butchers.
Well said.
Whatever happened to apples to oranges?
Wow, that was pretty left of field for me, wasn't it? But
No,
this is alliteration, bakers and butchers. It rolls better off the tongue. But do you know
Definitely
what I mean? They're still they're both great. They play a significant role for Elio. But in this story, Oliver is more important.
Yeah, 100%.
But Matsia's still good.
Yeah, I think as well, like the scenes where Elio and Matsia, they go on like these really nice like dates and they're having such a good time and just like they just bounce off each other really well. And it is interesting how, you know, Elio is like balancing these two different people of Oliver versus her. Also equally as well, she's played really well by Esther Garel, like gives such a good performance and again is so hard done by just by the story. So I thought that was a nice part of it as well.
And it's also funny because he's obviously he's more overt with her. He's kissing her in front of the family.
Yeah.
Announcing it to his
At
dad.
breakfast.
Matsia almost had sex last night. Okay.
Yeah,
all
who
right,
says-
Timothy.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Okay.
good guy over here.
But
But it's
again,
still-
the dad's
it's
so
just-
lit, he didn't care.
yeah,
you know,
the
like-
dad's like,
It's like,
heck
cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Good
he
job,
loves
son.
it. But it's still a romantic relationship, and I don't think his, you know, time with Oliver or his sexuality takes away from the fact that I think it's a romantic relationship.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And shows you that romance comes in so many different forms.
Absolutely.
With friends, sexual, non-sexual.
100%. I'm not sure if this is more expanded in the book, but was that his like first relationship with anyone?
I can't really remember.
Or is it not really talked about?
I feel like he's had other girls.
Okay.
Just
No, I was
I'm
just-
not
I mean,
sure.
he's
Random
still,
question.
he's like 12, Michael.
No, he's not.
but in the book, it does. I mean, the first time I saw it,
Only
I
Hammer
didn't really
likes 12-year-olds.
understand the utility of Matsia's character. I wasn't really sure if she was just a deflection from Oliver. But
Yeah,
when I
or
read
like
the
a
book, I
front.
realized
Yeah.
he did like her.
100%.
They had a real thing.
I had a few deflections growing up.
They
I
did.
will say.
We talked about it before, but let's get into it with more detail. The sex scene,
Oh,
Elio and
love it.
Oliver. First thing that jumped out to me was that Elio says Oliver's name, and obviously the movie's called Call Me By Your Name, but Oliver says like nothing, and then they start to call each other by each other's names. But there's again what you said about this kind of power and this like greed. He can't just like return the favor to Elio, despite his feelings, which was kind of like frustrating. But
I will
anyway.
say though, and I think this is a really important part. I think before this film, when you look at films with, you know, queer characters having sex, it's always hypersexualized, it's dirty, it's you know, it's not romantic at all. And I think just taking away, you know, who they are, stripping back all of that, I think it's a really beautiful, empowering sexual relationship between two queer characters that you didn't really see before. Like when you think about Brokeback Mountain, for example, it's not like that as much. So I think that part is like a big step for queer film. So I think that's really important.
Definitely.
I totally agree. And, you know, on that note of, let's call it like eroticism, there's no, it's
Erotica.
not erotica. It's not explicitly, there's no explicit nudity. Oh, one scene, Matsia shows her boobs, but there's no real massive nudity or sex scene. What we see is the build-up. And that's the point of the film, because it's all about that desire and the build-up of that tension.
Agreed.
So we're not actually seeing the sex scenes to sort of paint that well in that, to what you're saying, Hugo.
I thought it was good in that aspect that, again, it was different to the normal, like, classic sort of romance, very sexual, very, you know, all about the sort of, like, visual aspect.
Yeah.
But this one's more about the emotion and the build-up, as you said. So I thought
that's
and really
it was
exploring each other. Like it wasn't just exploring each other's, you know,
genitals.
bits.
Yeah.
But it was exploring. It was the touching of like the
Yeah.
torsos and the legs, and it's like it was
Absolutely.
it was exploring each other completely.
Yeah.
You know,
And this is a coming of age film.
Yes.
So most coming of age films, if you ask me, a boy meets girl, and the complication is, I don't have a prom date, or a parent
I
who's
take my
being
glasses
annoying.
off, and now
I'm
the
like really hot.
Yeah, exactly. Bingo.
Yeah,
So I think this is so cool because it goes into the psychology behind coming
Yeah.
of age, as you guys just said.
100%. Also, following that, I think we need to start talking about it. But the infamous peach
the
scene.
peach.
Here we go. Are we ready?
Oh,
Are we
no.
ready?
I have thoughts,
Let's.
but you go first. I'd be more interested to hear what you have to say about that little peach, James and the giant peach.
I remember seeing it. I was like, what's he gonna do with it? Like, what's he doing? And the camera's just like lingering on him. I'm like, wait, like what's he doing? Also,
I love it. I love this.
An ode to American Pie.
yeah, but like,
But
he's
so-
obviously a teenager and he's like exploring himself.
Does everyone know what happens in this scene? Like,
He puts his
basically Elio
dig into it.
masturbates into the flesh of a peach and ejaculates into it.
and he's
Can
got
I-
all this peach like
And then
juice all
Oliver
over him.
comes in and
See?
licks the peach,
Yeah.
and the rest is history.
Well, I have
What
a bit
the
of an
fuck?
interesting take on it, and I think, like, jokes aside, Tim and the Giant Peach aside,
Timmy.
I think this peach is kind of, when you think about, you know, the motif of like a woman's flower, you know, and being damaged when you lose your virginity and like that
Okay.
purity being taken away.
Yeah.
I think the peach, I mean, like, it's his butthole. Like, let's just like get around it.
Yeah.
But I think his first sexual experience with a man being with Oliver, and I think he's kind of lost that purity, and we don't really know at this stage whether it was worth it or not. You know, whether he's going to
Yeah.
regret this sexual experience. Like, is he just being left damaged, and
Yeah.
Oliver's going to go
Yeah,
and he's a
good
worse
analysis.
person than when
Interesting.
Oliver came?
Yeah.
I
That's really interesting.
Then
What-
he licks it.
Yes.
what this scene for me, it was just him having a sensory overload.
Mm.
He's obviously really insecure about what he's done as well. He cries in this scene, and I think he makes a comment being like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Yeah.
and then at the end he resolves and says, "I don't want you to go to Oliver." So he's definitely panicking, and he's so consumed with his sexual desires, and it's almost like a release. But what makes this scene so also unique to me is it's this intense sexual escapade in the backdrop of an extremely dusty room
Yeah.
with a mattress protector that's half on. It looks like you've come home from a night out and you're not getting the mattress protector over the corners of the bed.
Sheets are in the washing machine.
Oh,
dirty,
it's filthy.
grubby.
It's dusty. It's unhygienic. It's gross. And to make matters worse, the peach is really juicy and sticky.
Yes.
So it's actually
sticky.
filthy.
Where'd he wipe his hands?
He didn't.
He
had all
wiped it
this
on
like
himself, and
Yeah.
the dust. Like it's
Like,
actually
revolting.
fucked
feral.
up. Yeah.
But what?
Although,
It
kind of hot.
kind of got turned on. But like again, this plays for me into one massive strength of the film, where Luca Guadagnino, the director, really made great use of textures and smells and noises to really enliven our senses and help us along with following the journey of desire and passion and the overwhelming experience from that. And we also see that in a few other scenes, like when we see Oliver's scar or Elio's nose bleeding, or they've all got sweat patches. I even
Very
want to say that
accentuated.
egg explosion scene where he's got that egg and he can't crack it properly. The peach scene, the way Elio like bites Matsia and Oliver when he's sort of getting it on with them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And having sex in all these messy places, it kind of just plays into that whole thing of your coming of age experience being really irrational and love making us go crazy and
Yeah.
just doing
And
weird things.
And it also not being like perfect. Like
It's just not
imperfection.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Definitely.
what real life is like.
Yeah. Also, just quietly in the peach scene, like Timothee Chalamet and Armie Hammer just play it so well. Like, I don't know the mechanics of how they actually did it, but did Timothy actually
Oh,
masturbate? And
Like real cock
Was
in
it
real
real?
peach.
yeah, that's
I
what,
don't
no
know.
way. No
surely
way.
not.
Maybe. You
Regardless.
never know.
Regardless,
I
like
would love
I think
to
I
know-
read somewhere they took it a couple times.
Really?
So-
The peach scene?
I just didn't get it right.
A few peaches.
A few peaches were
Jesus.
harmed in the making of this film.
Oh my God.
Also, another point with that, I see a lot of this film, there's this whole sort of Adam and Eve element to it. And with that,
Okay.
I'm thinking
Like
forbidden
the
fruit.
apple, yeah.
The peach is the forbidden fruit. And is anyone else feeling
I
that?
kind
Or am
of
I
feel
still
that,
absolutely,
overly
yeah.
psychoanalyzing it? It's also with the backdrop of all the greenery.
Mm.
And another weird thing I noticed is after they had sex, the shot pans to this shot of just the greenery outside the room. And again, that just sort of goes back to imagery of Adam and Eve and
All
kind
the
of,
peaches and all the trees. All
Yeah.
the peaches in the sea.
Yeah, I don't
Plenty
know.
of peaches in the sea.
There are.
And I find that
That's
that
interesting.
complemented by all of the archaeology and art, as well as sort of a couple religious iconography. So it pans to a crucifix or a Star of David chat. That kind of, I mean, yes, this is me psychoanalyzing it, but it kind of embeds
Yeah.
a gay romance in artistic and cultural tradition,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
So
Right?
good.
Which
and
also-
again, so subtle.
There's so much homosexual history throughout the whole of the human experience. Like
Yeah.
there are homosexual experiences written about from hundreds of years ago.
Well, that's
Yeah.
also
You know?
why it's cool they're talking about Greek mythology because they were all gay.
Yeah.
Mm.
They loved it.
They loved
They
it.
loved it.
They had big old orgies.
Yeah.
After this sort of part of the story, I think it was like very heartbreaking that they then have to leave. Oliver gets the train and they have this beautiful moment of like hugging. They don't say anything to each other. And I thought that was really touching and they just both performed so well. Just like
Yeah.
you're at this loud train station and again, it's that imperfection. Like I'm sure Elio had so much he wanted to say, but just couldn't.
I think the hardest part of that moment in the film is him in the car ride home
Oh.
with his mum.
His
And he's
face.
just
Like just
Devastated.
broken.
So
It's
broken.
like that-
absolutely heartbreaking. And then he has to
Yeah.
see Matsia. Of course, she's there.
Oh.
Oh.
But then
Poor
he,
girl,
like,
get her
breaks-
here.
Then he breaks her heart.
But she was cool. She was chill.
She's
like, we could
she
be
was
friends.
really nice about it.
That scene where they say goodbye at the train station, and then he gets on the train. That shot of the train going
Yeah.
away, it just felt like forever. And that is another testament to the great cinematic
So
editing.
good. Also, like, again, you know, we get this like it's like a brown or black train or something, and then you get the Elio's got this like colorful backpack and like a colorful shirt, and it's like not only does it just linger, but it's just like the color of that scene, and again in the car is just like so beautiful, and it just
Yeah.
like I don't know, I just noticed that and just thought it
It
was
is.
like that again. No words are said for like a few minutes, but the scenes themselves just say a lot.
Yeah, it's
great scene.
It's so sad, and that scene sort of brings together. I sort of touched on it. That whole there's a melancholic feel throughout the film because you're chasing time. That's finally the
time
end date.
element. Yeah,
They're done, and they didn't even spend that long, actually acknowledging their
Yeah.
feelings for one another.
very heartbreaking.
But also, I think that's exactly what Elio needed. He
Yeah.
had this. I think the other way to look at it is, it's devastating that his first love has gone away and they didn't get to say everything they wanted to say and they didn't get the time that they wanted to have together. But also, maybe that's the reason that Oliver came into his life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He got so
Everything happens
much
for a
out
reason.
of that experience for the next one that comes along.
Yeah.
Who's going to treat him better. And I think that
definitely.
you've got to find the hope in that as well, as devastating as it is. And particularly when you're young, like you remember that, you can't see that far ahead in the future and you can't
No.
see past the emotions that you're feeling right in that moment. But the older he gets, the more he'll appreciate
Look back on that.
that
Yeah,
experience ending just as much as the experience when it began.
definitely. I
Don't you-
think it was interesting that they then he gets fast forwarded and he's, you're seeing that he's kind of more with himself, more trusting in like who he is now that Oliver's gone.
Yeah, he is.
And yeah, I thought it was interesting that we start to see kind of how he's doing after this.
You're so right. And in the scenes following, even just the way he dresses, he just seems
I was
more
going to
sure
say
of
his
himself.
outfit.
So
Yeah,
different
so
to what he
cool.
was wearing
In the winter.
He's
Very
come
cool.
into himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's processed those emotions. But also with what we were just saying before, what I love though is that where no matter what your experience is, if you watch that scene, you're taken back to your first heartbreak and how sad it is.
Don't.
Definitely.
Everyone will have a different experience and whatever that
different
scene means.
interpretation.
But
Millie, who was yours?
save that for another time. They know.
Not on the microphone. No, I completely agree. And I think that's what's great about it. You can all, attest to similar experiences, and regardless of how it happens, yeah, it's such a relatable film and story. I think it was cool, now that we have this new part of Elio who's more with himself. Again, one of my favorite scenes was the dad and Elio on the couch. Let's get into it.
That is
It's
like
deserved an
the
Oscar.
scene.
It's the scene of the movie.
scene.
What do we
Michael
think?
Stolberg.
So good.
Oh,
I think, just to kick it off, I think most of it is kind of one shot. And the dad, they're having this beautiful conversation and they're just able to talk about all these things. And the dad knows what Elio has been through. And I think it kind of is very subtle. Like earlier in the movie, the dad actually said, I think you guys will get along. And he kind of knew that there was some potential there. But now we're getting this conversation after, and the dad says something about his own experience. And he's like, I may have come close, but I never quite had what you two had.
yeah.
And it was just so beautiful.
But then what he says straight after that is something always held me back. And he doesn't, go into specifics. But
Doesn't
I think
need to.
that to me is the most important part of that moment.
Yeah.
Is that Elio
So powerful.
he has less obstacles that are going to hold him back now. So he has
Yeah.
the opportunity to have what he had and to have more of it.
Yeah.
But he really lays out what's right and wrong and validates Elio's experience. Just saying it's worth waiting to your desire. Go for it. And I had something sort of similar. And Timothee's acting was amazing.
So
as per
good.
usual.
The dad's acting as well.
Dad's acting.
He almost and I don't know what you guys think of this, but Elio almost rescinds into this childlike state again where he really needs his parents. There are so many moments in the film where he is becoming an adult. We've said it 1,000 times. It's a coming of age.
Yeah.
But sometimes in these raw moments with his parents, when his mum's reading the German book and when he's on the couch with his dad, he really becomes that child
Kid
again.
again, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's kind of Elio's character as well. He's a bit cocky.
Yeah.
He's too smart for his own good, but he's
so smart.
He's also a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I feel like he's very
And
selective.
he's an only child.
Yeah, only child. I feel he's very selective with when he wants to speak and what he wants to say. He's got a million answers to your, who he's talking to. And I think that's what's so great about the character and how well Timothée Chalamet plays him is that he doesn't have to say anything, but he can just convey things. And again, goes into this child state and he doesn't say anything, but he's just there on the couch and you're like, okay, I know what you're going through.
Yeah, you're very right that Michael Stolberg still keeps that monologue pretty. He's very clearly telling us what he wants to tell us, but he's still being a little bit discreet. So it's kind of to say, the door isn't shut. You can always come and talk to me, but I just want to make sure it's sufficiently open so that you can come to me if you need to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What a great father as well. Just
brilliant.
Just an excellent father.
Emotional intelligence.
So good.
And I know we talk about how it's really not restricted to a time period, but it is set in the 80s. And I think during the 80s, that's when the AIDS pandemic, the AIDS crisis was, kicking off and everybody had every excuse to marginalize the queer community. During that time, there was an ad on Australian television where the Grim Reaper has a bowling ball and he just bowls it down this bowling alley and it's just people instead of the pins, and the ad is just saying that AIDS could get anybody. So
oh my God.
everyone was just the queer community was so isolated. So his dad had every excuse to not be supportive and not be open, and he goes against all of that, and I think that is
so accepting,
so critical.
So good.
So good. I think as well, probably just to end on another great scene, we then get the phone call with Oliver, who's announced that he's like getting married. Like, I think Elio jokes like, "Oh, what are you getting married?" And he's like, "Yeah, in like September maybe." And you're like, "Shit!" Like the door is closed now, and again, they're calling each other by their names, but
Elio,
Oliver
Elio,
can't. Yeah, Oliver can't call Elio by his name. And it's like, man, just fucking give him something. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was tough. What did you guys think about the phone call and the scene following?
The phone call was tough, but you can tell, as we touched on, he's matured in his reaction.
Yeah.
It's obviously about 6 months later because it's winter.
Mm.
And then he goes, one of my favorite scenes is actually that last little epilogue where he's sitting in front of the fire.
Just crying.
And you just see so many emotions though. But you also see he's obviously sad and he's sort of maybe experiencing a bit of nostalgia, but he's also dealing with acceptance and love and maybe processing the good memories. All the while there's still stuff happening in the background. It's such a beautiful shot of him though. In front of the fire, there's like a fly buzzing around his head.
Yeah. It's like 5 minutes long as well.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there. He's so good.
So
Do you know what though?
fucking good.
Like the whole motif of like "Call Me by Your Name," not the Lil Nas song, but in the movie, I think it kind of represents that this experience, you know, this relationship was something that the two of them had privately together that wasn't shared by the world. And when he says his own name, when he says his own name to Oliver, I think it kind of pulls you back to that. It doesn't really matter if Oliver's not going to acknowledge the experience because it's something that he has for himself now that he can carry forward.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of shows the growth that it doesn't need to be him and Oliver, how sad, like they're not going to share that again.
Yeah.
He's got that experience and he's got that knowledge and he's got that kind of respect for himself that he can carry on into the world now.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coming of age.
All right. I think we've touched on it throughout, but who would you say that your favorite character is within the movie?
Do you wanna
Elio.
go first?
I think Elio is brilliant. He literally spends his summer transcribing amazing music, composing variations of Bach. That's the composer of the piano songs that he plays as well. He's also extremely intelligent and cultured, proficient in 3 languages, Italian, French, and English. And again, like just he spends his whole summer just doing such incredibly intellectual things. His character as well. It's obviously portrayed so well through Timothee, but it's amazing to see a character that is, you know, cocky while insecure, contradictory, he's confused, he's lost, he's talented, he's awkward, he's precocious. To convey a character like that, I think is so amazing.
So good.
And yeah, definitely. And it definitely helps that it's played by the great Timothee
The
Chalamet.
great,
100%.
the only.
Who would you
Should have won an Oscar.
Elio's dad.
Oh,
for
the
sure.
dad is fucking so good.
I just think like, again, when you think about all the queer films before this, it's always a fight with the parents, being marginalized by the family, not having any friends at
accepting.
school. Like it's always this really sad, you know, othering of queer people. And we finally kind of see a relationship between a queer child and their parent that's healthy and hopeful and open and honest. And I think that's so special and very refreshing that queer people can have happy, fun, loving relationships with their family just like anybody else.
Oh,
Yep.
100%. The
Totally.
dad is so fucking nice. And yeah, I would be adopted by him. I think.
Yeah, Elio's got 3 more siblings now. Sign us up.
Sign us the hell up. I love the dad, but I probably have to go with Elio as well. Like, as we talked about throughout, he's very subdued. He's so smart, speaks multiple languages, very selective with his words. Also very mature for how young he's meant to be. Like he's
11.
way ahead of his age. Yeah, like
reckon-
9 years old.
Do you reckon you'd like him if you met him?
I don't know. Like he's not actually that fun. Like
No, he's not that
that he
fun.
has to be, but like you know, like I don't know if I would like him.
I think he would challenge me.
I
Yeah,
think
and
he,
I think
I think I'd be threatened by that.
I think
Yeah.
he'd just shut you down with one intelligent comment about
yeah.
buck.
He'd fuck you up.
He'd say something in German and you'd
Yeah.
be like, oh,
All
God.
right, whatever.
Shut
Give it a
up.
rest. Give it a rest, Elio. One more thing. I love how close he is with his family. Like,
Yeah.
he's
Only
able to
child
say
syndrome.
anything. They're able to share anything. Like, and again, we've talked about it constantly, but Timothée Chalamet got nominated for his role in this, and I think he absolutely deserved. He was playing the piano, like speaking all these languages fluently. There was so much improv throughout. Like even the scene where he puts Oliver's shorts on his head, that was all improv. Like,
Oh, really?
he just decided to do that, and it was like there was stuff like that throughout that you truly thought that Timothée Chalamet was this character.
He's when he was nominated for the Oscar. He was the youngest to be nominated in 70 years.
Wow.
So fucked.
Has there been anyone younger post?
How old was he when he
I
got
think
it?
he was. This was what a 2017 film.
8. He was 8 years old.
I think he's about 2021.
Oh my
'Cause
god!
I believe
what are
he's
we?
2 years
What
older
are
than
we
us.
doing with ourselves? He's
Oh.
fucking playing the
Stop.
piano, all
I'm
these
not-
languages. Oh my
I'm
god!
not thinking about that.
One more thing as well. Oliver was obviously a very divisive character, but he dressed really stylishly.
Yeah.
And I back his style.
He had a-
Those styles are coming back.
yeah, they
Bring
are.
it back.
The
Highways-
Converse. we've
yeah,
seen them.
Converses, like
bowler
Polos,
shirts.
yeah,
cool
yeah.
like shirts.
The jocular look.
Yeah, get me to Italy. Get me some Converses.
Looking
Yeah.
like
Get me on a
Oliver.
bike.
Get me
Get me a cigarette. Let's go.
Get me a cigarette.
Chased
Oh
by
my
a
God.
Italian
cigarette.
woman.
Get me a fucking deck of ciggies. Yeah, some great characters. Such a good movie. Were there any bad parts even, or was it just too good?
I mean, there's the elephant in the room. It's Armie.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
Armie.
God.
That was.
Don't.
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer, who plays Oliver.
Why'd he go do that?
Why you gotta do that? And
Yeah.
not good for, by the way, Death of the Nile coming out after this all happened.
That's his like last movie, right?
Well-
And it will be his last movie, I'm sure.
Well, I actually read somewhere he's been in sex therapy.
Oh,
For those who
good
don't
for
know,
him.
he
Really?
claims he had a cannibal fetish.
So we can, we can touch on a few stories, but there are many. But he was married at the time, and quite a few women have come out with screenshots of him messaging them, asking for them to cut off a toe so that he can eat
That
it,
is
to cut out their
fucked up.
ribs so that he can eat it. Like real cannibalism.
That
And
is fucked
Yeah,
up.
it's
there are
real.
receipts. There are receipts.
Oh my god.
I heard, well, not heard, it's a fact. He grew up in a very like wealthy family, Armie Hammer. Like his family,
Privileged.
like oil tycoons or something.
Oh.
And they're all
And
cannibals.
apparently there's a bit of a history of like
Oh.
powerful,
No.
like sexual, yeah.
Cannibalism.
I don't know about the cannibalism,
It's
but like
genetic.
maybe he
There it
was
is.
brought up in that way. But
Okay.
in saying all of that, Timothée Chalamet was in like danger. Do you reckon anything happened
Danger
there?
zone. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's
He's not into men, I don't think.
It's so funny because Timothy always in interviews always comments on how Armie's been such a good influence and role model for him.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say that, doesn't really age too well, does it?
No.
Nah.
He like having watched it for the first time now after all these things, I still thought that he played really well and it was a great movie. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about his off-screen actions, but nonetheless.
Yeah, and
Not great.
do you know what?
Nice.
Like the film has had so many opportunities to step away from like the classic Hollywood tropes. Like it got so much freedom with the cinematography and the
Yep.
scripting and the casting. And I think again, we look at other romantic films that you see and the man is always jacked up,
Yeah.
beefed. And he's not. He's lean. He's just
lean,
got a
He's
normal
very
body.
stylish.
He's not super handsome. Like
Yeah.
I think he was cast well, just didn't age well.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't there going to be a sequel to the movie because they
There's a
made
second-
another book
There's a second book.
I have
But they-
heard they wanted to, yeah.
and they cancelled it because of him, right?
Yeah, they can't anymore.
yeah.
It's done.
Do you remember it when High School Musical 1 came out and then Vanessa Hudgens' nude got leaked and they were going to replace Gabriella with the one who played Taylor. They were gonna like do a little switcheroo of all
Wait,
the
really?
actresses. Yeah, that's a true story.
She
And
was
you can
so
Google it
slut
now.
shamed for that nude. It was absolutely appalling.
Yeah, whenever
Yeah.
they showed it on the
She's
news,
come
they
back, though.
covered
She has.
they covered her bits with like the Disney Mickey Mouse sign.
Oh.
Stop.
Yeah, you can Google that.
God, all those Disney stars, they all had a nude leak.
They all had,
and
at
they were
least one
all
nude.
tarnished in the media. It was
Not
Yeah.
Hillary
horrible.
Duff. That's why she survived so long.
She has.
How I Met Your Father.
One more thing that I just remembered talking about the improv.
Good pickup.
Timothy and Armie, they're both straight in real life, and they kind of had to bond before the movie to kind of, obviously get into character. But heard this fun story because it's on
I know what you're
Amazon
gonna say.
Prime, and they have all these like trivia things. And when they first get together, they're in this like grassy place under this tree. Apparently they were rehearsing it, and the first time they were going to film it, they said like, all right, let's get ready. Like 3, 2, 1, action. And they didn't actually film it. The director, Luca, wanted to see what their first
chemistry build.
on-screen
Yeah.
chemistry would be like. And so they started just getting with each other and going ham, like
No.
rolling around the grass. They didn't film anything, and all the cast just like walked away and left. And they were still getting with each other for like 5 minutes to stay in character. And like,
There got to be some laws around that.
I don't know, but I thought that was like,
That's hilarious. Also, because in
So
the real
funny.
life shot, that Timothy like climbs Armie Hammer like a tree.
Yeah, he really
Lit-
goes.
Rolling all
literally
over
climbs
him.
him.
Although it does bring you to the point that whilst, as we talked about, Timothy just nails every single emotion and his acting is just phenomenal.
yeah,
We do need to be casting queer actors
Correct.
and actresses in queer roles. And I think
Yeah.
it's happening more and more. But as great of a job as they did, it's still not their stories to tell.
I completely agree, and
Yeah.
it's a really worthwhile discussion. Another fun fact also that they had quite a small budget.
really
Yeah, it's actually not that fun of a fact. That's the entirety of the fact.
pretty fun.
That was a $3.5 million budget. and
Really?
they had limited time to do it. So I heard that there was a lot of improv.
That's actually really surprising that the budget was only $3.5 million. Like, it just goes to show how well they were able to film it and act in it.
Yeah.
They don't need this huge budget to make a great film. So
I will say, give me $3.5 million. You'll see what I can do.
yeah,
It's a lot
I
of
guess that's
money.
also why they might have Luca Guadagnino decided to film it in his own hometown,
yeah.
and that's his house.
It's
Is
his
that his
house.
house?
You admitted that
Yeah.
earlier.
Oh my
it's his
God.
real house.
He's got a
Suddenly
beautiful
I'm
house.
panicking that I've got to fact check myself.
Yeah, just fact check
Wait,
that.
I mean, maybe the budget with that point is that's why they filmed in his own hometown,
Yes.
where they could spend less money navigating
Yeah.
sets, and they had a bit of familiarity or might know people where they could film.
So
to help
good.
out.
Just shows you don't need the big explosions. You don't need the A-class actors
Damn
at
you,
the
Marvel.
time, because
No.
obviously now it's different. But
Yeah.
you just need a good script,
Good actors.
good actors.
Good set. Great film. So that is a wrap for Call Me By Your Name. Thank you so much for listening in to this episode of Cinemates, a podcast where a bunch of mates chat about cinema over some drinks. Huge thank you to Hugo and Millie for coming on the show and for Millie recommending the movie again. Absolutely loved it. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Happy to be
Cinemates.
here.
No worries. Definitely welcome back. As always, please let us know what you want to hear about in future episodes. And if you want to send in a mailbag or do an elevator pitch to me, send us a DM on Instagram or TikTok at cinemaze_. Otherwise, we'll catch you for the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Cinemates. Make sure to follow us and leave a review on your chosen streaming platforms. Also, check out our Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube channel for more Cinemaze content. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge Australia's First Nations people as the traditional owners and custodians of the land and pay respect to the Cammeraygal people of the Eora Nation upon whose country Cinemaze is based. We honour the storytelling and culture of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities across Australia. Also, in the spirit of chatting with mates, remember it's always important to check in with those around you. Whether it's friends, family, or colleagues, sometimes they may be going through a hard time, and chatting with them may reassure them that they aren't alone. If you or anyone you know is ever struggling, call Lifeline on 13 11 14.